I'm Larry Phoenix. I am the regional supervisor for the Arizona Game and Fish Department out of Flagstaff. The bottom line is we want to keep the food away from wildlife for two main reasons. Obviously, the safety aspect of it, but for the long term is to keep our wildlife from becoming habituated to that human food source. The first thing we think about are bears, because it's always store your food so that a bear doesn't come in the middle of the night and those kind of things. And no doubt that is extremely important. But truly the biggest culprits that we see are actually the squirrels, the skunks, and the raccoons. For those folks that are backpacking, camping out of their tent, no hard-sided vehicle anywhere nearby, the number one thing is you do not want to store any food in your tent, because the animals can smell that, and the tent's pretty flimsy, and it doesn't take much for an animal to get through the fabric and into your tent. In Arizona, many or most people are actually camping out in the woods in some form of an RV, whether it's a trailer, a camper, a motorhome, and so it's hard-sided. Or they're camping out of a tent, but with their vehicle fairly close to them so that they can, again, store their food inside that hard-sided vehicle. Some things that people don't think about when you think about food is we'll have s'mores at night, chocolate and graham crackers and marshmallows. And then we get it on our face because that's what happens when you have those kind of desserts, because they're sticky and gooey. And so we want to wash that stuff off our face because animals can smell that at night. So when you're sleeping, and we've had scenarios or situations where they wake up and there's a bear or a raccoon or some other little critter that's licking the marshmallow off of their face. It's quite the excitement for both the animal and the person. The thing to think about is a lot of times when you're hiking in the woods and you encounter wildlife, there are times based on the wind and the nature of what the wildlife are doing that they didn't see you coming. Okay, and so we want to make sure that they know that you're there. So if you see wildlife, you want to make sure they know you're there by making noise. And if something looks at you, you don't want, or comes at you, a lot of times, as a bear's example, if the wind is not blowing towards them from you, they can't smell you and they don't see very well. And so you're a blur to them. And so they get curious. And so they start walking towards you, not because they're interested in you as a meal, but interested in you as, what the heck are you? Because I can't tell what you are. And so then we get scared as humans, and then we turn around and then we run. Well, what happens when something runs is we naturally chase it down to see what it is. And so in those scenarios, we don't want to run. We don't want to turn around from wildlife and put our backs at them. We want to be able to see everything that they're doing. If a situation arises where you're not comfortable with it, you want to walk backwards. Be careful of where you're going so you don't trip. If it is a predator like a bear, something that you can do to make yourself seem more fearsome is take your jacket and put it up over your head, not over your head so you can't see, but so that you are taller and bigger and darker type scenario, the bigger the better type thing. The thing we don't want to do is we don't want that wildlife that has naturally been living out in the woods, but has found itself in town because of drought, lack of water or food, or because of wildfire that has pushed them out of their normal where they normally live. And so what happens is we are humans and we feel sorry for them. And so we then start providing them with water and food. And it's not necessarily food scraps. It could be alfalfa bales, or it could be horse grain or other types, cracked corn, all of those things that we think we are doing the right thing, but in fact, we're actually not. We want the wildlife to recognize that this is where we live, not where they live. The important thing is that the Arizona Game and Fish Department is here as a resource for everybody. And like I said, we are here, we manage the wildlife here in Arizona, but we do that for not only the wildlife, but for the people so that they can have an opportunity to see the wildlife.